How did you avoid internment in a labor camp or a concentration camp, which turned out to be the fate of quite a few other blacks in Germany?
Well, the only explanation I have is that there were two fortuitous incidences, or coincidences rather, that I think saved my life. Number one was that there were so few blacks in Germany at the time, and certainly in Hamburg, that we were not on the priority list for being exterminated. I was working actively as a machinist in war production. It means I was contributing to the Nazi war effort, and was therefore more useful alive than I would have been dead to the Nazis' cause at that time. The second was that the Allied military moved so quickly toward the end of the war that they caught many of the Nazi executioners by surprise, and they were just not able to put the finishing touches on their extermination programs. And the plan was definitely to get rid of all non-Aryans. And I would have, if the war had lasted longer or Hitler had won the war, I definitely wouldn't be sitting here right now.
But because of the Allies, Hans Massaquoi had the opportunity to go hanging out in nightclubs pretending to be an African American. But that's something you just have to read the book to find out. You were able to leave your mother and join your father in Liberia, and it was a fairly awkward reunion. You had had dreams of being able to embrace your father and call him affectionate names. Why didn't that happen?
Well, it was I want to blame both of our personalities for it. I was not ready to, after 22 years of, after being on my own and being an adult. I was an adult in Germany from the time I was 14 years old and worked in a factory. And when I joined my father at age 22, he expected a little boy whom he could boss around and tell what to do and what not to do, and I wasn't going along with the program, so we did not hit it off very well.
Even when one day a man reached into your father's car, slapped him, you jumped out, beat the man to a pulp, your father still wasn't pleased.
Right. He said, "You get me in too much trouble." And, so he was a hard man to get along with.
Clearly. You contracted malaria while in Liberia, and lived in fairly poor circumstances during that time, and you eventually left and came to the United States. Tell us a little bit, if you can, compare the experience of the racism you later experienced and covered as a reporter and later editor and managing editor for Ebony and Jet magazine, and the racism that you experienced in Germany.
Well, the fundamental difference was that in Germany there was a government program in the works that sought the annihilation of all non-Aryans, black, Jews, and whereas in the United States, yes, you had a lot of racism, and you still have, but you did not have a government-sponsored program that not only allows but dictates the annihilation of other races, or any race for that matter. So that's the basic difference. So the risk factor in Germany was much higher because of this government policy to get rid of all Jews, to get rid of all non-Aryans. In this country, there is no such threat. That is not to say that those people who were affected by lynchings and that sort of thing did not suffer just as much as an individual Jew in Germany. But there was no program to lynch every black American. And that, to me, was the fundamental difference.
From being black in Nazi Germany to marching with Dr. Martin Luther King in Illinois and being stoned by angry whites, and a long and productive career with Ebony and Jet magazine, Hans Massaquoi, you've come a long way, baby. Thank you very much for joining us. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Okay.
Cut.